Hi, I'm Sandi Firsel, WRJ board member and programming chair. I live in the northwest suburb of Chicago during half the year and the other half in Delray Beach, Florida. I'd like to welcome and thank you for joining us today for Ideas to Impact Making Orami Programs Your Own. Today, we will have Wendy Kohlenberg, who is an online program committee member and a newly appointed Heartland District First Vice President, to talk to us and also facilitate and monitor the program. Wendy lives in West Bloomfield, Michigan, and is the past president of the Women of Temple Israel. She's the co-first vice president of Heartland District and WRJ North American board member. She has co-chaired the Latin program for the last 2 years and has been a member of our programming committee for the last few years. Wendy will be co-chairing the WRJ Board of Directors Nominating Committee this year and has been on the committee twice before. Wendy's married to a wonderful husband, Larry, and she manages his accounting practice. They're proud parents of Jared and soon-to-be wife, Ryan and Lisa. Wendy, would you like to take over right now, please?
Yes. I just got to say, we have a wedding a week from Saturday, so I'm a little shreked, but excited for my son to marry his sweetheart Ryan, and our daughter Liza in New York will be joining us, so it should be great. Anyway, welcome. We're so excited that you're all here for this impactful program about making ORME programs your own. For those of you who aren't familiar with the ORME Awards, they were established in 1973. WRJ's ORME Light of My People Award for Special Achievement in Programming recognizes exemplary events that can serve as a model for other WRJ districts and sisterhoods. These awards honor those WRJ affiliated women's groups or sisterhoods and WRJ districts undertaking replicable programs or projects of distinctive character and significance. Tonight, we are fortunate to hear from the people who worked on these programs to share their thoughts and insight. They were all honored with Gold Orami Awards, and we're going to learn tonight about how they put these programs together and how we can replicate them. Please feel free to put questions in the chat that we will share at the end of the program, or just make yourself a mental note or scribble on a piece of paper questions that you have that we will address at the end of the three presentations, where each of the award winners will highlight what they did. So we are going to start with our first presenter, who you've already met, Sandi Firsel. She's currently serving as a WRJ on the WRJ Board of Directors as co-chair of the NAIR Tamid Committee and chair of this committee, Online Programming. Also, she was an active member of Women of Temple Bethel. For the WRJ Heartland District, she is serving as Vice President of Philanthropy. Sandi was a WRJ Midwest District past president of Women of Temple Chai in Long Grove, Illinois, and past co-president of Beth Tikva Sisterhood in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. She is happily married to Michael Firsel and has two sons, Adam, married to Karen, and Chad, and she is blessed with four amazing grandchildren. Without further ado, here's Sandi to share with us the first gold-winning Orami Award winner. Sandi?
First of all, I'd like to encourage you to put your name in the chat along with the location of where you're at, because we always think that's really great, and you can converse that way, and that would be very helpful. So first of all, we're honored. Our district, which is the Heartland District, was blessed and also honored with this ORME Award, the Gold Award. The heart-to-heart and face-to-face in Cincinnati was held on November the 7th to the 10th, 2024. It was our district's first gathering as a Heartland District after the consolidation of the Midwest and Central District, and basically after COVID. The reason for Cincinnati is that we wanted a good location among our 14 states. We were looking for a variety of attractions. We needed to get to know each other and forge new relationships and rekindle friendships. And most importantly, we were trying to unify a new district by having everyone experience the same things and learning about each other as one district. We have put together a very robust itinerary, and I think I have that in the slide. Nikki, can you? Oh, it's not there. Okay, well, that's okay. I can tell you about some of the things that we saw and did. The first one was the Isaac M. Weiss Temple, the Plum Street Temple, which was awe-inspiring, beautiful, magnificent, and it's an experience that if you've never been at this temple, you should. This is where the where Reform Judaism really began. The next place we went was Jacob Rader Marcus Center of America Jewish Archives in HUC. And they have collected the most amazing exhibit of things that have taken place in the past. And that was also at the Skirball Museum. That was the last slide. This one was really interesting. It was at HUC JR Rare Book Manuscript Collections. And what you're looking at is a very, very, very old Haggadah, and it was all illustrated and it had filigree gold in it, and we were blown away. It was really amazing. The next place we went was, and that's the next slide, was the National Underground, the National Underground Freedom Center. And you'll see we were so many, we were almost 100, and we had to have two coach buses supplied so that we could get to our locations. Inside the Freedom Center, there is the Holocaust Museum. I don't think we got, wait, the next slide, go back one slide, Nikki. Yeah, the Holocaust Museum. And that's Nancy David Wolf Holocaust Museum and Humanities Center. And it's very interesting in this underground Freedom Center used to be a Union terminal for trains, and in different locations are different museums and things like that. And if you look at the next slide, you will notice that if you look up at the ceiling, can we go to the next slide? No, go back one slide, please. Yeah, the National Underground. If you look at the ceiling, it's magnificent. And if you look at the murals, they're mosaic, and they depict everything that took place in Cincinnati chronologically in this round rotunda building. So we also had a bonus. HUC student Rachel Hauser presented the life and loves of Selma Bodie Weiss. And also, we asked Valley Temple to host us for a Friday night Shabbat dinner and their services. We felt strongly that all three pillars of WRJ were used through the weekend: sisterhood, spirituality, and social justice. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So preparation began about 14 months before the event. We wanted to build a meaningful itinerary. We started with PR to save the date and registration, planning meals, creating the budget, and really making sure that we were accessible to those that needed it. We wanted to create meaningful Shabbat services. The application for everyone, though, that I really want to stress is that this event can be used anywhere that has an interesting attractions or venues. You don't need to have a whole weekend like we did. It's purely optional. It could be a one-day event or a district or a sisterhood. It can be a retreat, a Shabbaton, or it can be for a district or a sisterhood. It could be an area day or part of a convention at a district. So it can be scaled down or it can be as extensive as ours was, which was over a weekend. What were the program successes, which was a question that was going to be asked by all of us, is that it created such a great relationship building that we really needed to be together. It rekindled past relationships and created new ones. And that was important, especially because we had consolidated two districts. We enjoyed experiencing things together, and it gave us a common ground to talk about and enjoy. The barrier of having the expensive event allowed many people to participate because it was so well um, so well priced that people could participate. We all saw new places and they were very enticing. WRJ gave the district a grant to cover the transportation, which made it affordable for women to attend. And I just want to put a little caveat that it's important to ask WRJ for microgrants to help you, your district or your sisterhood, and meaningful events if you need to do that. We received many positive emails, texts, and personal comments that made us understand that it was a very worthwhile experience for everybody. And the challenges that we faced, can we go to the next slide? Well, we'll wait for that to come up. Okay. No, it's not there. Okay. What made it really challenging was that the program chair and some of the committee chair members were unfamiliar with Cincinnati. We really didn't have any idea of what was available for us. So we had to put together a local team that could guide us and book everything and get the venue, tickets, and organize the sites and the logistics. The other challenge was that the program needed to be financially balanced, and we only charged $180 per attendee. Probably increasing it by $20 could have helped made it a little bit more affordable to the district. There wasn't enough downtime that was put into the schedule. Um, and because we were running from one activity to another, people really wanted to have some downtime to have reflection and really talk to each other. We did cut out a lot of things. We didn't go to some of the venues that we wanted to. The nice thing is that on the itinerary that was sent out, we gave people 4 or 5 more venues that they could see independently on their own. And I'm extremely proud of the women that you're looking at because that was our committee, and 3/4 of them were made up by the local sisterhood members, and some of them are on the board. So, WRJ board, which was great. And if you can look at the next slide, it was such a joyful experience, and everybody really, really enjoyed themselves. And we got to meet new people and enjoy being together as one whole district. So, and that's why we won the Gold Award. Thank you. Okay, the next person, Wendy, you want to explain this?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sandy. And again, if you have questions about heart to heart and face to face, jot them down or put them in the chat for later. I personally was at this. I'm in some of these pictures. It was fantastic. All right, our next presenter for the Women's Health Symposium is Karen Gilman, who's the past president of Women of Temple Israel of Hollywood in Los Angeles, California. Currently, she's serving as WRJ Pacific District Area Director. She's retired from her social work career, focusing on parents of children with disabilities. And Karen was also the past Social Action Chair and Resolutions Chair for the WRJ Pacific District. And we are so excited to hear from Karen. Here you go.
Thank you very much, Wendy and the team. So as you can see from our title page, the reason why we put together the Women's Health Symposium was that we saw a continuing need to fulfill, to provide a space for healing, information, and connection. So together we created one, and with the two prongs of renewal and resilience. Let's go on to the next slide, Nikki. About the program. So it was a full day Women's Health Symposium held at our temple, combining expert medical panels, personal thriver stories, spiritual reflection, and hands-on healing sessions. It was open to everyone, women navigating illness, supporting a loved one, or simply seeking community and wellness resources. And many of us had friends from other places joining us at the temple that day. Who made it happen? That's us, Women of Temple Israel of Hollywood, and the temple overall, in partnership with Sharsheret, which you may know is a national Jewish breast and ovarian cancer support organization, actually now international, as they have a post in Israel too. It's essential for me to mention here, we cannot overemphasize how essential it was for us to partner with Sharsheret. And we're grateful to an active sisterhood board member who recruited Sharsheret to join forces with TIOH here. They co-hosted it with us, and they had 4 staff people involved on the day of the event. At the bottom, you see that we had 75 attendees, congregation members, community guests, partner organizations, and the partner organizations were all gathered in the temple courtyard, where we also served lunch along with their resource fair. On the next page, page 3, Nikki, you'll see that what made it special and why we think WRJ recognized this program and the ORME committee. The first little box says medical meets community. So these people served on the panel and later a caregiver workshop as well. We had expert oncologists, a genetics counselor, and social workers all on one stage. And it's rare but valuable when we're able to pull together that combination of people. We wove in Jewish values, as you'll see in the photos. Later, there was a Torah perspective provided on healing, Jewish poetry, Israeli poetry, and a focus on collective resilience. So it wasn't just a health fair, but also considered to be a Jewish healing event. And it was holistic by design, which means there are a variety of aspects covered, yet it also focused on integrative health. So we had breath work, humor, poetry, nutrition, and caregiver training, and the attendees chose whatever their own healing path might be. And we're pleased to point out that anyone present could find one workshop to connect with. I see the slide is looking blurry to people. I noticed that in the chat. We can also send out, I imagine, the slides to people, particularly people who want to follow up and try to duplicate. Don't know why it's doing that. I mean, I'm seeing it on my phone, so I know it's teeny tiny.
Right. So by all means, share the text with us because for some reason Nikki's not sure why it's happening. We'll definitely share the slides with you, but Please feel free to read what's on the screens so
Okay.
that we're aware. Not a
The
problem.
first box on the lower left-hand column mentions Thriver stories. So congregation members shared personal cancer journeys, reducing stigma and inspiring authentic connection. Later, you'll see in the photos who was there, and you'll recognize Madeline Katz, a lot of you from Pacific District and from WRJ North America. We had 9 partner organizations: Sharsheret, NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the Cancer Support Community, which is now in many cities around the country, Maple Counseling Center, which is local, and more. So we are bringing real resources into the room. And the last box says this is built to replicate. We have a clear format. There are community partnerships that are necessary to utilize. And we issued a post-event survey to get feedback, which all of which are components that make this a model that other sisterhoods can use. Okay, now we're ready for page 4. So this is our program, and you see in the photo Rabbi Mari Chernow giving one of her presentations, and our temple member Lauren Abulafia in the back, who served as our MC. So Rabbi Mari opened it, and then Lauren served as an MC and called up people to present personal stories, including Madeline Katz, who is a doctorate level Jewish educator who is retired from her position as a dean at HUC JIR campus in Los Angeles and has served on both the WRJ North American and Pacific District boards. And she's also the past first day school director for our elementary school at Temple Israel Hollywood. The other personal story was delivered that day by Melanie, who is a staff member of Share and also a Thriver. And the previous time we did it, we had 2 different other either survivors or family members talking as well. The second dot says expert panel and Q&A. So there we have the panel with the oncologist, the genetics counselor, and the social worker, moderated by a lead social worker from Sharsheret. I'll give you more detail about this in a minute. And then the interactive breakout sessions, of which we had 2 rounds covering breath work, poetry, humor, nutrition, caregiving, and Jewish learning. Then community lunch on the courtyard. That's the piece for which you have to budget, my friends. And we shared a meal with info tables from 9 partner organizations. And the resource tables were staffed the whole day. As I mentioned before, some of the resource organization people were also presenters either on the panel or in the workshops later. And then a closing reflection at the end to reflect on gratitude, our sense of community, and next steps after this. Okay, let's go on to page 5. The voices in the room. Okay, this requires me to fill you in on a lot of notes. So the expert panelists included Dr. Arish Asher, who's the Director of Cancer Survivorship and Rehabilitation at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He was recommended by our board member, our sisterhood board member, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. And lined up by Sharsheret, and they have an ongoing working relationship with him. Then also we had Bida Nuhore, who is genetics counselor and manager at City of Hope. The main location of City of Hope is in Los Angeles County, and we're very grateful that Sharsheret has ongoing working relationship with the genetics counselors there, who notably surface at other Sharsheret workshops, whether you're doing it at a regional convention or an area day or whatever, in person or virtually. Then we have our breakout session facilitators. Jamie Hoffman on breathwork, Rachel Korazim, the Israeli poet, who presented poetry for healing, and Rabbi Mari joined her in that session. We coincidentally had a scholar in residence weekend with Rachel Korazim right then. And so she was in town. Many of you may have experienced her teaching before, but she's doing it from a time zone 12 hours different from mine. And she's beamed in from Israel. And her poetry is very moving, very touching. Then our very own Esther Gushner, who is a clown who shares happiness at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center with patients. I had no idea, but you really have to mind your membership. It's very serious. And she presented a PowerPoint on how to develop humor and why we need humor and what humor really is psychologically in our brains. Then we had Wellness with Annie, and Annie's a nutrition counselor, followed by Amy Sachs from Sharsheret. She's a social worker who was on the panel earlier and then gave a caregiver training and resilience training as one of the breakout workshops. And she's a Southern California social worker who does the individual counseling with folks experiencing cancer. And she's there for consultations and to connect people with resources. Okay, back to the screen here. And lastly, but not least, Rabbi Mari Chernow, who had a workshop on Jewish learning. So she was there the whole day as well. Your clergy are really gifts to heavily utilize with your
Did you throw
sisterhood
it?
and women's group events. Okay, the next picture, the next page 6, shows the day in photos. We'll wait for Nikki to flip. There you go. So up to the left, we have our breathwork teacher. In the middle, we have participants and people who played big roles. Shout out to our membership and program engagement person, Leah, and her sister-in-law, Lauren, and some other participants. On the upper right, you see Esther dressed in her clown garb and showing her PowerPoint presentation. Then on the lower, other guest speakers, and you'll see Madeline Katz on the right in that lower left-hand picture. You recognize her from WRJ Pacific and the North American Board. The middle lower picture is Rachel Korazim presenting. You may recognize her as well. And the lower right, Rabbi Mari addressing all of us in the chapel right there. Okay, let's move on to page 7. All righty, our community partners. So Sharsheret is a lead partner in all of this, and they're nationwide, in fact, international, and they're a renowned Jewish breast and ovarian cancer support organization. They co-planned the event, they provided speakers, and they extended outreach beyond beyond the congregation. Being on their mailing list, I know that they sent a blast email to everybody on their mailing list in Southern California announcing this was taking place. And because it was free, it's pretty appealing to people who have a need or desire to connect in this way. Okay, and the boxes going across from left to right, you have Magnolia House, which is a cancer support organization linked to Cedars-Sinai, which provides not only counseling, individual and group, but also art therapy, yoga, big time online presence during COVID lockdown. And they continue to do hybrid workshops, which sell out and have waiting lists. They're very important resource. Then, of course, we have NAMI Westside LA, which again is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. While there's a stigma attached to mental illness still in our country, and even though I think Jewish people have a greater openness to mental health needs and discussing it, and physical health needs too, it's really important that NAMI had a presence there that day, and a lot of us connected. And both for Magnolia House, NAMI, and the next two, Maple Counseling Center and Cancer Support Community, our Women of TIOH board member, Sharon, reached out to. In fact, She spent a day at a local health fair that takes place annually in Beverly Hills, the Roxbury Park Health Fair, where she spent a lot of time reaching out to and recruiting some of the community resources who wanted presenting. Ovarian Cancer Circle is led by and founded by one of our Women of TIOH members herself. Well with Annie, that's the nutritionist. She was sourced from the community health fair too. Tower Cancer Research Foundation is connected with Cedar Sinai, and then of course our own sisterhood, so Women of TIOH, and we had an outreach table as well with goodies, the giveaways, you know. So we had 9 organizations who brought resources and referrals and community to the event. And people connected with these resources and followed up afterwards if they wanted to join or get help from an organization. I already mentioned half of the community partners were recruited by one of our board members. And I would encourage you to follow this model within all of our congregations and our sisterhoods and women's groups. We have people who are survivors and thrivers. We have people who are very good doing outreach and people who have utilized resources in the community. And it's very good to, again, mine your people. And when people are motivated, they do this on their own, or they team up. And we're so grateful that our Women's Health Symposium benefited from outreach and advocacy like this. Okay, on to page 8. This is where I fill in any details that I left out. Okay, what other sisterhoods can replicate. So again, partner with local health organizations. All the big cities have Share. And the regional social workers cover for each other if somebody's not available after hours. So for instance, Amy Sachs from Southern California will cover calls from Northern California or even across the country if social workers on East Coast time aren't available. They're really important. The next box says blend expert and personal voices. So you've got doctors, genetics counselors, congregants, and other community members with lived experience, and professionals who are professional yet Hamish at the same time, who are approachable and present in a way that people can participate in. So you've got technical information and emotional resonance too. The middle box says weave in spiritual and creative healing. So the poetry, the breath work, and Jewish learning distinguish this from just a regular old health fair. Fourth, give attendees a choice. We had 2 rounds of opt-in breakout sessions to let each person follow their own healing path. Maybe one of the only challenges we experienced was that people said, oh, couldn't you have offered everything twice? I really wanted to go to some things that were being held during the same hour. Yeah, I faced that problem too, but it happens. We're trying to squeeze it all into one day. And lastly, you build community through shared story. Opening with thriver stories right at the beginning of the day, set a tone of trust and authenticity, really an intimacy for the whole day. I already mentioned Madeline Katz, and then, of course, Melanie from Share, who participated in that way. I'd like to further elaborate on this page and say the combination of local experts from renowned hospitals and medical centers, plus specialists from 8 organizations within our community, meant you attract attendees who each find something that they can relate to. And you're probably getting bored with hearing me say, mine the talent in your community. And that's why we feel anyone can do this, because whether you're rural or suburban or in the midst of an urban big city, we think you probably have the resources, and we're happy to talk you through this. Okay, let's go on to the last page. I already mentioned the challenge. We proclaim that wellness programming can educate, connect, and transform community, and every sisterhood can create meaningful spaces for healing and women of TIOH are happy to share with you how to do it. Our tips and recommendations include allowing ample lead time to organize. In fact, we had to change the date for this one and push it further out into the future by a few months because you've really got to line up these professionals and give them time. It has to be a good date on your temple calendar as well. Explore and make sure you know who among your congregants is a specialist in what. And then don't forget to recruit a substantial amount of volunteers for the day of the event, because you need specific greeters to greet the panelists, to greet the people at the resource fair, and to do setup and staffing of all the booths. I already mentioned budget for food costs, unless somebody's underwriting it or sponsoring it, which of course is a popular angle too. See if you can get people to sponsor it. We didn't charge for the event, but our Women of TIOH Sisterhood, while holding events for free, which we've done since the recession of 2008, 2009, we always give you an opportunity to donate whatever you feel like, whether we suggest a donation of 18 or 36 or whatever. And very often people who can't attend will donate a large amount to really help the budget of something. So that's really nice. We also suggest that if you're going to hold an event like this repeatedly, stretch it out to at least 2 years in between the events and not to repeat too early, because that'll help you maximize your attendance. Thank you kindly for listening, and we look forward to answering your questions later.
Great. Karen, thank you so much. That was a lot of great information, and I look forward to hearing what the questions are as we get to the end of our program. At this point, it's my pleasure to welcome Wendy Black, who is the Pacific District Director of Special Programming. She previously served as the Pacific District's Program Chair for 2 terms, and under her leadership, get this, the Pacific District netted 1 Gold Orami Award, 2 silvers, 3 bronze medals, one shared with Action Advocacy Vice President Sherry Kotzen-Shelton, and 3 honorable mentions. She's a native of Chicago, where she grew up at Temple Shalom. She's lived in Phoenix for over 50 years. You're not old enough, come on. Most is a member of Congregation Beth Israel in Scottsdale, and she's the former Sisterhood co-president and co-chair of Beth Israel Social Action Committee. She's a writer and film festival judge and former award-winning journalist. I'm not going to get into her education because I want you to get to this program, which is just amazing. Trauma on Campus, Free Speech versus Anti-Semitism. And the second part was Trauma on Campus, examining the Israel-Palestinian protest narrative that the WRJ Pacific District offered our community. Here you go, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. That sounds very odd because there are very few of us around. Every June, we invite Pacific District Sisterhood programmers and presidents to a Zoom we call the Sisterhood Program Exchange. It gives us the opportunity to talk to each other about our programs and their challenges. And I open with a little presentation, including a chat about what I call identity programming. I urge them that before they schedule any programs, that they finish this sentence. We want our sisterhood to be known for ... We at the PD level are known for our news-related programs, and nearly everything for which we've been honored with an ORME pertains to news, as does our gold winner this year, the Trauma on Campus series. It's why I'll be talking about not only how we put this one together, but also any news-related program you might consider for your sisterhood or district. In the spring following the tragic October 7th attack, college campuses in the US and Canada were in uproar with pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protests. Many were on the West Coast, and therefore personal to our sisters in the PD. Either we lived near a campus, knew someone there, or had gone there ourselves. It was front and center in the news every day, so we felt it an excellent topic. By reading, listening to, and watching a variety of sources, sisterhoods can do the same. Personalize what's in the news, and hopefully put a new spin on it. I'm sure every district provides excellent programming, as does WRJ nationally. So sisterhoods also can use that as the basis for topics they can streamline to their own needs. We would not be here today if something had not gone wrong during our initial program, which was meant to be our only program. It's always very tricky to book an hour-long program with 3 speakers and a Q of A. You're on a very tight schedule. One of our speakers was in Jerusalem. Half the time when we have speakers in Israel, we go live to Israel and program on a Sunday morning to accommodate the time difference. This time, however, we pre-recorded it, edited it for time, and slotted it between our 2 American speakers on our usual Wednesday evening. During our pre-show tech check, the interview was loaded properly. It was checked twice that it would play, no problem, until we tried to play it during the program. We tried it 2 or 3 times. Nothing. We had no choice but to go to speaker number 3. During the time she presented, I was in contact with our district president, Carol Schuster, and asked her for a date for a subsequent program so we could promo it before we signed off. It was decided our follow-up show would be in 9 days. I find program conception and booking guests to be the most challenging aspects of any program. We didn't have the luxury of time with our guests for this series, but it still went smoothly. However, it took several months of chasing some guests around the world for our silver Oramy winner with One Voice, a celebration of the high holidays. The opportunity to book high-quality speakers for little or no money, and we pay no money, is where identity programming can be advantageous. If you let your potential speakers know who you've worked with before, it very well may increase the likelihood that they'll sign up with you too. We thought the second program of the trauma series would be most impactful with a produced open, which basically is shorthand for a summation of what's going on and would be the basis for the presentation of the next guest. We opened with a blue square anti-Semitism video that had been shown everywhere and followed up with our own. This is how our second program started. And we have no sound.
Share with audio
Oh.
in the share
Okay,
screen.
can we start it over again, please?
I think you have to reshare your screen.
Yeah, you have to
Nikki.
reshare the screen.
Yep. Stop share.
Sorry, is that not working?
You need to stop
No,
the share
Yep. Mhm.
and then reshare and select share with audio.
Correct.
I appreciate all of your advice with this. Just 1 second.
We are truly stronger together. We'll make it work.
When you protest, bring your passion, your tenacity, bring your anger, but don't bring hate to the protest. Scream until you're red in the face, but don't scream at the Jewish kid walking to class. Threaten to change history, but don't threaten your Jewish neighbor. Draw a line in the sand, but don't draw a swastika. Because bringing hate to anyone brings more hate to everyone.
Sorry, there was some lag there. But you get the idea. Before we go on, I'd like to recognize our great editor, Julia Weinstein, for her work on this. So here's how the programs were split. At the time I was taking classes at UCLA Extension, and even though I wasn't on campus, I kept receiving emails from the administration about the campus situation. So it was logical that I'd contact somebody from my school's Hillel, Rabbi Toba Schaller, to be a guest. I then decided on bringing on a guest from ADL, Regional Director Ariella Lowenstein, and fortunately, she taught at USC. Now, if we can have the second card, please. Thank you. We had one strong interview with Mika Danzig, the former member of the IDF, whose portion had to be scrubbed from the first program, but I felt our PD sisters could benefit from a second guest. One of the presenters in the first show had spoken about Project Shema, which I'd never heard about. I did some research and found Daniel Brawl, who had written from a unique perspective that the situation in the Mideast still wasn't hopeless, and so we booked him. Districts often program differently than sisterhoods. Sisterhoods have the gift of being able to have a direct impact upon their synagogues and communities, whereas at the district level, we only can inform, entertain, and provide resources for help. In this case, can you bring up the next slide, please? Thank you. We posted a resource guide in the program section of the PD page. Even these resources can be a launching pad for sisterhood programs. And you can pull that down, please. Yes, it's on Zoom. All the district programs are on Zoom. Thank you. I suggest you program at least once or twice a year in hybrid form or by Zoom. There may be people in your sisterhood or congregation who would like to participate in activities or even join sisterhood, but find themselves unable to attend, maybe for health reasons, their family or work situations, or simply don't have the time for a commitment of more than an hour. Zooming allows your programs to become more inclusive and may even provide a lane for you to draft new members to participate in planning sisterhood activities. Second, it may be easier to offer a virtual appearance to your potential speakers. Not everyone can come in and speak with a sisterhood in person. Zooming increases the potential of possible speakers. Now, if you'll kindly indulge me, I'd like to invite all of you to explore whether American and Canadian Jews now are facing the anti-Semitism that our European counterparts have been dealing with for years. And if so, what have we learned to protect ourselves and fight back? Please join us for A Brave New World, Combating the Rise of Anti-Semitism on Wednesday, June 10th at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Our guest will be AJC Director of International Jewish Affairs, Rabbi Andrew Baker, Stand With Us Director of Legal Policy and Litigation, Carly Gamble, and Secure Community Network Region 10 Regional Director, Jean Moss. You can contact me to register at wendyblack.pdprog@gmail.com, which is in the chat, or on Mighty Networks or through the PD newsletter. Thank you very much for inviting us to present.
Thank you very much, Wendy. That was riveting, upsetting, so many things, but so educational as well. And at this point, we are open to having our presenters answer any of your questions. So if there's anything on your mind, any questions about how you can replicate this at your district level or sisterhood level, please feel free to either raise your hand or put your question in the chat. And we will do our best to recognize you. Anybody's hand up? And you could definitely unmute yourself. We can all speak together. Sandy? You're muted.
Hello.
She's got to unmute.
Okay. I was just wondering, you said it was in the chat, the link to register for that program.
Oh, not the link,
Could
my
you-
email. So you can just drop me an email.
Okay, could you put that in the chat
It is.
Yeah,
again?
it's right there.
Yes,
Here, I'll,
yeah. Yeah,
here, I'll send it again, Matt. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
And then Joyce, you had your hand up.
Yes, Joyce Rubin, Temple Israel of Hollywood. I attended the event. We've had it several years. Karen did an excellent presentation. I wanted to just remark that this is a wonderful program to implement at your temples to use your community resources and do cross-generational because we had many of our nursery school and religious school parents there, as well as getting new members for our sisterhood. It's a very wonderful program. I know I took several young friends whose mother had passed away from breast cancer and introduced them to Shawsheret. So it's just a wonderful blend of informing many of your members of what is possible within education and Judaic learning.
Great thoughts, Joyce. Thank you. And can I just ask you to mute yourself if you're not speaking? We heard a little background noise.
Not here.
No, we're good. We're good. Any other questions? Yes, Anne.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was having computer problems at the very beginning when Sandy was giving her presentation. And one of the reasons I really wanted to join this Zoom was because my temple may have a future combining of another temple. We're not sure yet, but there were mutterings about it. And I'm very interested in how we can include our sisterhood, which is relatively active, with the new temple coming in, if they come in. I want to be prepared. So it was important for me to know how to do that. And then I lost the whole connection. I had to reconnect. So is there a way that I can get the beginning of that program? Because I took notes as soon as I got back on, but
Well, first of all, if you want to contact me or get any information at all, you can contact me at sfirsel, like the way my name is spelled, Firsel, at gmail.com. Second of all, I'm pretty sure all the recording will be on Mighty Networks, so you
Okay.
can see the whole program again.
Great.
Second of all is that you can really do a program like this with other sisterhoods, which is a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that. And incorporate more people involved in it. So if there's anything I can do to help you, just, email me or go on Mighty Networks and get the recording. And,
Thank
you
you.
can do it that way.
Thank you. Made me feel better.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's available. Wendy Black, the program you're promoting is June 10th, correct?
Yes,
Yes. Okay. I just put that.
Right. June 10th, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10
Pacific.
o'clock Eastern.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
It's
I'm
posted
actually
in
Mighty
it's
Network.
posted in the Pacific District page of Mighty Network, and it has been sent to all the district presidents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great. It sounds wonderful.
If I may say, I forgot to mention, there is a story when I talk about how booking can be really tricky. This one was also really tricky as well. I had expected to have somebody in Israel and somebody in France. It did not work out. And I got the idea because someone I read somewhere had said about what we're seeing right now is the Europeanization of American Jews. That's what caught me because I had never heard that idea before. So we tried to get a hold of who said that. It was very difficult to get a hold of her. She wasn't answering where she worked. They weren't answering the phone. She wasn't answering messages. Finally, I called her former employer which was at AJC. And I said, can you give me contact information? And he said, well, I only have a phone number. And she was in France. So we called her in France. Julia called her. She was about to get on a plane and she was going through security, said, call me back in a half an hour. Julia called, left the information, still never got back to us. Meantime, like 3 weeks had gone by and I said, this is it, we're turning around. So I called the person who had, I emailed the person who had given me her phone number, which was the director of Jewish International Affairs at AJC. And I said, well, this happened, but can you come on? Because I think you'd be excellent. And he sent me an email the next night from Moldova and said, I'd love to do it, but you wait till I get back in the States and I'll see. And he did. The group in Israel, they never got back to me. The Blue Square group, which is the beginning of that, they didn't want to do it. And despite what they said, it wasn't really the kind of thing they did. From the tone, they were kind of irritated that they were in the Eastern time zone. I was asking them to come on at 10 o'clock and stay up till 11, but probably half of the people we have on are in the East. So then I just got some other people, but it took over 3 weeks to be able to book all these people. And sometimes we've been able to do it in a couple of days. After the October 7th was Saturday here. We had a show on the following Sunday with 3 speakers in Israel, 1 in Seattle, 2 of them for Women of the Wall. One was Anat Hoffman, who's been on a couple of times, but we had people in 2 different cities in case they bombed. So we'd still have somebody from Women of the Wall. So sometimes it's really easy to find people and sometimes it's just terrible. So, if you can, that's why I said, think of these things like you want to be the sisterhood or the district known for, really think about it. And if you can, start getting a hold of people way early. But the other thing is, and this may be more for the districts, I don't know, the sisterhoods may want to do this though, is to really think of if something happens big in your town or in your district or nationally or internationally, how responsive you want to be and people waiting in case something happens that they can just come in and quickly find people and quickly put together a program. So flexibility is really important there.
As Lynn Magalazar, our past president of WRJ, always said, flexible people don't get bent out of shape. And you had to have a lot of patience, I'm sure, Wendy, as you found all these speakers.
None. I have no patience.
Yeah, right.
my other me, Julia Weinstein, she has a patience. I have absolutely none.
I know Karen ran into it too, as did Sandi, finding her team to put together Heart to Heart, and for Karen to use the resources at their temple in the community. It's great. I mean, we know we all have it. We just have to find them, get the word out there. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Sandi if there's no other questions.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Wendy Kohlenberg for doing a wonderful job for facilitating tonight. And a special thank you to Karen Gilman and Wendy Black for presenting alongside with me tonight. We really appreciate it. Also, a huge, immense thank you goes to Nikki Braun from WRJ staff. She helps our committee in so many ways I can't even begin to tell you, and she supplies all of our tech support. So thank you, thank you. If you enjoyed tonight's program, please consider adding these upcoming WRJ programs to your calendar. One is, as you can see, the Sandwich Generation. There are going to be many experts there that will help you navigate between children and your elder parents. So, which is really going to be terrific. And then December the 9th is the Freed Women's Summit. So if you can put in your calendar, that would be great. Please note that the online program topics will be bringing you later on the year a virtual tour of Israel, by our wonderful tour guide, Sherry Robbins, a presentation of Simone Solomon's watercolor art, which will be very fascinating. And then the return of Harry Gitzwith presenting prominent Jews in the performing arts. You can find more information about these events in the post-program email you'll receive in the coming days. You can do it on WRJ website or online programming group in the Mighty Networks. We want to thank you all for being here and making it a special evening for all of us. And hopefully we'll see you all on our next program. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.